How are you, buddy?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. What's happening?
Awesome.
So,
Not much. Just
so
went
good
for
to have you
runs.
here.
You as well. Thank you for having me. I appreciate being on your show.
You're
And I'm
welcome.
sorry about the mix-up. It just that certain weird that was happening at the apartment. And
Totally
this,
fine, mate. It happens, especially
yeah,
these Zoom meetings. It can be a little bit of back and forth sometimes, the time difference, but it's all good. We got there
yes.
at the end.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah,
Yay.
absolutely. Mate, why
Awesome.
don't you would you like to explain to the peeps at home like exactly what you do, what your philosophy is, what do you call yourself?
Yeah, so what do? I basically teach men how to hold in their so then they can choose when they want to release it into the vagina, the anus, or the mouth, or on the chest, or whatever, or shunt and transmute some of that energy up into their higher centers. We teach a lineage called the sexual kung fu from ancient China. It's kind of like the ancient Chinese version of Indian tantra.
Right.
And yeah, I was teaching like regular Lululemon yoga. I was an ambassador for Lululemon, and I realized you could do all the down in the world, but if you don't love your, it's really hard to progress spiritually.
True. Yeah, I find it very interesting your the idea that like holding in your semen increases your testosterone, increases your attractiveness in general.
Hmm.
I actually I did 31 days of no release earlier in the year, and I definitely actually saw a little bit of that. But I mean, there was other things as well. Like I found I got a lot stronger in the gym, but I was also eating a lot more. So
Okay.
it's hard to tell whether it was the extra food or whether it was the holding off. But I definitely did feel like I was more attractive to women. But then again, there's part of me that wants to think maybe it's because I was so horny just on a day-to-day, maybe I was accidentally flirting,
Yes.
or maybe it's because I had 31 days of jizz backed up and I needed to get rid of it and that was giving it
Yeah.
energy. I don't know. What do you think?
I think yeah, I mean it's physics. You got all this your body wants to produce a baby, evolutionarily speaking, and so you want to eject the into the
Hmm.
and yeah, so I think that it's probably a combination of many things. But the semen retention, I think a lot of guys, I don't think it's just placebo. I think a lot of guys are noticing that when you hold in your semen, you can like when you focus on your balls, what do you feel?
As in when I feel them with my hands or when I focus it with my mind?
When you bring your mind into your
Just give me a second. I'll just get my mind and hang on.
okay.
I don't know. I can't feel anything. What should I be feeling?
Really?
What should
Okay,
I be
and because
feeling?
you did you just did you constantly?
No, I'm actually
You're still holding?
I'm holding back today because I've got a OnlyFans collab tomorrow. So I normally
Oh,
have if I've got a collab the next day, I'll usually hold off so I have a bigger
oh, that's
work
good.
things.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, cool. So you're 2 years, 3 years younger than me. And how often do you ejaculate on average?
Probably it depends for all of us, doesn't it? On the time,
Yes.
but usually like every second day.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, so our teacher, Montauk Chia, he says there's kind of a chart, and the older we get, the less we should because it take the body so much energy to create the semen. He says it takes the body even more energy to create semen than it does blood. And it makes sense because it's creating a whole new life if it gets shot into the. So what I found in my journey is doing like a 21-day reset where I don't ejaculate for 21 days. After about day 20, I start to feel this really life-giving, tingling, juicy sensation in my that for much of my life I couldn't really feel. I couldn't feel anything. So if you ever want to try that, I just love that. Like when I focus on my now that I do more semen retention stuff, oh, like I can feel my connecting with yours through the ethers because the self-sensory system of the scrotum has been developed through the semen retention practice, transmutation, and certain superfoods that I eat, like goji berries. So yeah, and if you can't feel it, to anybody listening, if you can't feel your hold in your more, and then try having certain superfoods like goji berries because they recharge your, and then visualize, like use your mind to like visualize this beautiful golden liquid light spiraling up the back down the front of each of your testicles. And then over time, you'll start to really feel that tingle and that weightiness of the sack. It just feels so primal.
What is up, people? Are you ready to elevate your health game? If so, then listen up. Introducing to you BLCKWAVE Supplements, your go-to destination for holistic supplements that cater to both men and women. Designed to optimize your entire system. Whether you're looking to enhance focus, libido support, or to revitalize your overall well-being, BLCKWAVE has got you covered. Head to their website, www.blckwave.com, and try their wide range of holistic supplements, ranging from their 2 flagship products, their cognitive support, Brain Force 1, designed to help skyrocket your focus as your productivity goes through the roof, and their male libido support supplement, AlphaMale, Male Enhancement, designed to help you unleash your inner beast. Ladies, do you also want to reignite some heat back into the relationship? Well, BLCKWAVE also offers horny goat weed to ignite your passion and help enhance your libido. And here's a cherry on top. Use my promo code WAVE20 at the checkout for an exclusive 20% off your purchase on the website. So what are you waiting for? Join the BLCKWAVE revolution today. Are you sick of scouring the hub looking for something authentic? Well, MyOF has exactly what you're looking for. Real girls having a real good time. Exclusive behind the scenes, 50% off your first month, and over 100 videos ready to watch on the feed as part of your subscription, with weekly new releases from both homegrown Australian talent and overseas professionals you know and love. It's an amateur's paradise. Go check out the website in my bio and follow the links to the Apollo Show X. Wanted to see me, myself, and my D? Same website in bio, but look for the Apollo Show solo. Enjoy, guys. I actually, funnily enough, can relate because at the end of my 31 days, I was feeling like my nuts were throbbing. Like,
Oh,
you know what I
nice.
mean? So, I mean, like, I think
Yeah.
you're probably right because I'm a little bit older. Maybe I just needed a little bit more time, a little bit
Maybe
more
to
attention
recharge
time.
them.
Yeah.
Could
But
be.
yeah, crazy. Were you always an advocate for this well, I don't even know what you call it. What do you call this branch of naturopathy? Like, what do you call it? Men's
Oh,
health? It's
well,
more than
we
men's
call
health.
it like yeah, male rewilding, rewilding the
Yeah, yeah.
because the way you feel about your I do believe it largely dictates your overall self-esteem. So we focus the Vedas say pratipaksha bhavana when you're harassed by negative patterns that don't support life, like hating your cultivate the opposite, like really love your balls. And the ancient Greeks would work out. It was all men in the Olympics just working out, oiling themselves up, sniffing each other's and then their wives. And they were so into same-sex erotic bonding that they would actually ask their wives to cut their hair to look like a dude on their wedding night so that they could get hard. And they'd ask their wife to like be a bit, act like a man, be like kind of butch, be
True.
like, hey, yeah, I'm up.
What's the thing? Like, you think about those days, and all of those really hardcore warriors were actually doing a lot of stuff. There was a lot of like
Yeah,
bro bonding, as you say, was
yeah.
very, very natural. So, do you
Do you
think?
do bro bonding?
No, I don't. I sleep with some transgender ladies, but even that,
Nice.
like, I'm guessing you're talking when you say bro bonding, you're talking about what would happen. It all kind of happens because you're doing it with someone who is hormonally a man. So I don't know if it works the same way if I'm
Right.
sleeping with a transgender girl on hormones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right, and it really depends if the individual, whether they're a male, female, or trans, has more of a divine masculine, divine feminine essence in the moment. And yeah, the injected hormones could change their essence, I would say, or at least their hormonal status, so that they would go from being more of a testosterone laden to estrogen laden.
Yeah, it's
So you have
definitely
two humans with testosterone coming
yes.
together. It's kind of like two rocks, and it kind of, we say it creates more of a spark of yang energy, which then makes you more attracted to and attractive to very highly feminine beings, which could be a trans girl
Well, you know what's
or
funny?
whatever.
That I thought I actually was reading your pinned post, which has like your philosophy on it, and part of that was the bro bonding without release makes you
Mhm.
more attractive to super feminine women. And I was thinking to myself, God, every super gay dude I know, women love him. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it makes sense. Like it must there must
Yeah.
be. Must be something in it because every
Yeah.
every super gay dude has a bunch of gorgeous women who are
Women
like
around them.
slay, you know?
Exactly. And I think a lot of those, actually, I've been talking to a lot of guys and they'll be like, Will, I've been having these dreams of eating. Normally I'm just into dudes. And I'm just like, well, yeah, man, go for it. Like, I think that the world is changing. And instead of thinking, oh, we have to just call ourselves gay or just call ourselves straight or even just call ourselves bi, we can actually de-armor and drop all those labels and then just step into more glandular potency. And once we've detoxed from, all the feminizing plastics and stuff, we can see how we feel. And a lot of the guys that have told me they were gay after they detox, they're like, oh, I still love and I also want to eat the beautiful, juicy, sexy yin woman.
True. Okay. So do you personally not use plastics because like do you avoid microplastics, plastics in general?
I try, and it's hard to because studies have shown that there's
Everywhere.
microplastics in all of our ball sacks. It's really
I
hard
have
to get it
seen that.
out.
I have
Yeah, in our
seen that.
brains and our everywhere. So what I always say is just do your best and forget the rest. And so I try to eat organic. I try to wear clothing. If I do have to wear clothes, I'll just wear like merino wool or silk or cotton, things that are less likely to leach the plastics. Because, for example, like fast fashion, like Lululemon, even though it's super expensive, it's just made by China and Sri Lanka, and it's just literally just plastic. And then when you heat up, like in a hot yoga class or going for a run, it leaches the microplastics into your skin, into your bloodstream. So you can make little changes like that. Yeah, the clothing is more expensive when it's natural, but it tends to last longer if you take care of it. If you're going to get merino wool like from Icebreaker, you have to be careful not to like put it in the dryer really at all because that'll shorten the lifespan of it. But if you take care of it, hang it to dry, it can serve you well. Or just it more often.
Always a great option. Always a great option.
Yeah.
Do you have any dietary changes? Like do you recommend any dietary changes for to peak men's testosterone?
Yeah, I mean, I work for some superfoods companies, Chalk, CHOQ. You can use my code 34Chalk at chalk.com. They've got Shilajit, which has been shown in clinical trials to actually increase free and total testosterone. Can't remember by how much. They've got a product called, just for men, it's called Chalk Daily, and it's the Shilajit. It's called Prima V Shilajit, 500 milligrams, and it's hot water extracted, so it's purified in the traditional Ayurvedic way, so it's not got a lot of the heavy metals and stuff that some of those tar in a jar Shilajits might have. So that's one thing. Shilajit can be really powerful.
So
It's called the destroyer of weakness.
what is Shilajit?
It's basically like it's like the armpit sweat of the Himalayan mountains. It
Okay.
oozes out of cracks in the mountain, and it's basically compressed plant matter of thousands of years ago, kind of oozing out of the mountain. And it's got high amounts of humic and fulvic compounds in it, these acids that are actually found in soils as well, healthy soils, and they bind to glyphosate, atrazine, and all these feminizing pesticides and microplastics, and then you them out into the toilet.
Right. Okay. So it's like
Hmm.
it's like a magnet for these plastics in your body.
Yeah, plastics and pesticides, get them out.
Yeah, true. True. A lot harder in America to do than it would be here in Australia. Here in Australia, I find our farming and our food is a lot better quality. Like I was just over in LA for 7 weeks, and I couldn't believe the difference in quality of the grocery store compared to here in Australia. So yeah,
Yes.
I imagine it would be very tough to.
Hopefully it will change now that RFK Jr. is the head of the health department.
Dude, I
The
actually
state.
wanted to ask you about that. Like how like the Maha make America healthy again.
Uh-huh.
Um, RFK's thing. Like, what do you think about it?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, and to be honest for the listeners, I'm not actually American myself, but we as Canadians, we kind of are like small A Americans.
Yeah.
Anything that happens in the States tends to bleed over into Canada eventually.
Hmm.
So I'm really excited that Trump has appointed him as the health, basically like the health czar, health minister, because he's been fighting for years against polluters, and he's been suing pharmaceutical companies. He's been pushing for legitimate double-blind randomized placebo-controlled studies of vaccines because a lot of people don't realize vaccines and AIDS drugs are the two things in the medical industry that are not subject to double-blind randomized placebo-controlled studies before they're released to the public. It's called if you watch the Andy Wakefield movie, 1986, The Act, you can learn about how in 1986 the government absolved any liability to these pharmaceutical companies so they could just go hog wild. And if there was any negative effects of, for example, I can only see through one eye because of the MMR, they're not responsible. You cannot sue them. So RFK being appointed to change that, hopefully, will, I don't want to say I'm anti or pro. Let's just be amorphous about that. But let's say, can't we all agree that safer products are better?
Yeah. Can't we all agree that better food, less bad chemicals allowed in your food? Like I was looking at
Yeah.
a comparison of Fanta, the orange drink, the color of it in Europe compared to in America. And in Europe, the orange food dye is actually banned. So they use real sugar and orange juice, and that's it. So it's made from real
Mm,
orange juice. So I mean, like in America, people are like, might be like, "Oh my God, all my favorite foods are going to disappear." Well, maybe they're just going to make your favorite foods a little bit better and a little bit healthier.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that'll
Ingredient
have a
list
flow-on
in.
account. Sorry, that'll have a flow-on effect to health in general.
I agree. And if you look at McDonald's in Canada, it's a bit better than the US. The US is the worst. Go to Ireland, they'll use grass-fed beef and the ingredients of
Mm.
their French fries are four ingredients rather than 18 in the US version of the French fries, of all the preservatives and rapeseed oils and all these inflammatory things. So yeah, it would be great if they could just clean everything up. I agree with you. I think it will improve the overall health of the masses.
Makes me very excited because I come from a background of personal training. I was a personal trainer for 12 years before I
Nice.
entered into the adult industry. But I would often look at kind of the ecosystem of health that the Western world is kind of stuck in, where it's only a reactive medical intervention. So it's like, oh,
Mm,
you had a heart attack. Here's the treatment for that. Oh, you've got diabetes. Here's the
right.
treatment for that. Oh, you've got, whatever. Instead
Yeah.
of it being a proactive thing where it's like not maybe the pharmaceutical response isn't the best response at hand. Maybe there's a bunch of things, a more holistic approach. So I feel like
Mm.
this is probably a step towards a more holistic approach.
Yeah, preventative medicine and just helping people cultivate good daily habits that keep their health optimal rather than, basically like doing this whole, as you said, kind of like having factors in the environment such as poison in the food it's just physics, it's going to cause more people to get sick. And then, pharmaceutical companies like Bayer, German pharmaceutical company, in bed with Monsanto, who creates glyphosate, and then Bayer has the solution, which is the cancer medication. It's so corrupt. So if they can break apart these incestuous relationships between these corporations, I think we can really see people's health improve drastically.
Good. It's required. I think it's probably. I would love to see the numbers in America, but like in Australia even, where how much it's costing the government in medical terms for people's dishealth that could be changed with better diet and exercise,
Mhm.
compared to, how much they're making on, the food industry that's behind them. So it's got to be getting close. Like every almost, if you look around at 10 people in the street, you're going to look at 9 people who are medically obese. Like
Mhm.
if you look at their height and how much they weigh, it's going to be in the obese, not even like overweight. It's going to be in the obese category if you look on the street.
Is
So
this in Australia?
in Australia, probably more so in like if you go to a country town, absolutely. I don't know why rural towns seem to be even more unhealthy, but yeah, it's definitely in Australia. But in America, even like I was just in
Oh
LA,
yeah.
and like a lot of people are carrying a lot of extra weight.
Oh yeah,
And
America is the most obese. There's two other countries. What was it? United Arab Emirates. There were two other that were more heavy set, but America is like in the top three of all the fattest countries in the world.
Yeah, and Australia is not far, but well, wasn't far behind them for a long time. So, very, very similar, very similar. Yeah, well, that is exciting to have a focus on health. Like I saw that and I was like, yes, this is like something that I don't know, it just seems like common sense to be honest. Like make the
Yeah.
food better, get more exercise in, healthier options,
Yeah.
you know. Let's not go straight to medicine as like pharmaceuticals instead of in lieu of things that could be fixed proactively with lifestyle, you know?
Yeah, and a lot like side effects is just poisoning. You know, like every pharmaceutical has a laundry list of side effects, and it's like that's actually just because it's toxic. Like it's petroleum based invariably, and a lot of the I think it's like 45. I think Troy Casey said percent 45. What was it? 40 to 50% of all modern pharmaceutical drugs on the market get their impetus from rainforest plants. But you cannot patent a natural thing. So,
No.
in order for the pharmaceutical companies to make any money, they have to try to isolate what they think is the active compound in the rainforest plant and then synthesize it in a lab and then patent it. And so it's very corrupt because in some studies, the actual plant was actually way more effective, for example, in treating cancer than the synthesized part of it. But because you can't patent the plant, they're like, oh, they just throw it out. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And then what they synthesize is probably going to cause more issues down the track on its own.
Yeah, because the body
Um,
can't recognize it.
yeah, exactly. This episode brought to you by BLCKWAVE Supplements. Go to their website, www.blckwave.com, and get the best supplements known to man. So, man, tell me more about your so you were saying before you run like retreats or you do sessions, like if you had to like describe your work week, like what does it entail? Do you do this full time or is this something you do on the
Mhm.
side or
As of 2020, I got fired. I don't know if you had to get the vaccine, but I was very adamant I didn't want it, the COVID vaccine. So because I chose not to, I was fired from like 6 jobs
yeah,
in August of 2021. That was really stressful.
super
Um,
stressful.
yeah, because I was like, and they were very shady about it. They're like, oh, just tell us, and we promise we will let you keep your job. And then I told them, and they're like, you're terminated. Like, oh,
Uh,
that was really shady. Uh,
what kind of
so I
job?
was like really freaked out. I was teaching at country clubs. I was teaching hot yoga studios, spin studios. I was doing a lot of the fitness, group fitness teaching, and then I was also getting some royalties from my songs, but
Yeah,
mostly group fitness stuff.
I
And
can
then,
relate. Like in Australia, whenever there was a hint of a case, it would be gyms and hospitality shut down, you know?
right.
Yeah, right. So you were a group fitness instructor and lost those jobs. And so then what? So then were you already practicing this, what do you call it again? Wild
Sexual kung fu rewilding kind of stuff.
Kung Fu rewilding, or did you discover this in
Yeah.
your newfound free time?
I discovered actually in 2012 I was on and I think I typed in tantra and then I found one of a sex kung fu tutorial video from my now teacher Lauren Johnson, who's a senior Universal Healing Tao teacher under our main grandmaster Montauk Chia, who I just got to teach at his workshop retreat in London, which was a huge honor. And he's amazing. He's like 85 and he really practices what he preaches and he looks great. Lots of energy. And so I was too ashamed at the time to take on that practice. I was teaching, hot yoga and spin, and I was trying to stroke my along with the training video, and like somebody had illegally uploaded it, and I just kept looking out the window, being scared somebody was watching me, even though like my window is really far from anybody else's apartment. So there was all this like shame, body dysmorphia that came up. So I put it away, and then I got addicted to and
Okay.
alcohol for a
As
few
in
years.
cocaine. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not pure in Vancouver. It's so dangerous. I lost one of my cousins. Yeah, it was my cousin too. That was laced with.
That's a big problem.
So,
I'm probably lucky that I went through my drug phase over 10 years ago
oh,
when
nice.
fentanyl wasn't a big worry because like
Mm.
it would be very easy to overdose, especially when you're in the scene and you're able to have a bit more tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we're lucky that we're still
Over there,
alive.
do you test your drugs before you take them now? Is that kind of part of the thing?
Well, I stopped. Like I haven't done since 20. 2017 or 2018. I think I relapsed in 2018. Yeah. So yeah, I haven't done that one for a while. And then I stopped drinking alcohol. And if people want to keep doing, I don't mind. And I would recommend testing it for sure. And have like three naloxone kits with you. Because I heard just one, if you do have a batch that's got it starts to give you a heart attack, apparently you need more than one kit to revive yourself sometimes.
True. It's so
Um,
powerful. So powerful.
yeah, you just need a tiny bit more than what they put in, and then you would, or that you think you need, and then you're dead. So it's very dangerous. So I would, I mean, my whole journey was like, I was not really having good daily habits that kept me in my highest. I was kind of hypocritical because I was like teaching yoga, which is all about holistic wellness, yet I was like snorting, not a lot, maybe once or twice a month, which is a lot, I think, actually. And then I was drinking a lot. I was drinking multiple times a week. And I just, I'm really grateful I got out of that. And so I think that was about 2013 to 2015-ish, 16-ish. And then I started to clean up my act. And that's when I actually got back into the sexual kung fu because I started to feel sexier in my body and more juicy. And when you feel better in your body, obviously there's less body shame. And so then you can do things like shake your around in your apartment and feel less insecure about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I rented out this vegan cooking school that had a yoga space, and I would teach these men's sexual kung fu classes, and I would recruit the men from my Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes and from my cold plunging groups. And so there were a lot of men who have girlfriends and wives who were coming. It was a very diverse group of men, usually like 20 dudes on every Sunday in this vegan cooking school. And we would just like stroke each other's and jump up and down and get in a circle and growl and just do all these really cool things.
So are these all, like, how did you go? Are these all bisexual men or are these straight men that are doing these acts?
Most of them would call themselves straight,
Yeah.
and some would say they're gay and some would say they're bi, but many straight men, surprisingly. And also, there's this weird woke thing that, like, once the world was shut down, I kept teaching because I don't believe in the mainstream view of contagion. And that's a whole other rabbit hole. I study something called Germ and New Medicine. It's not that I'm not like super extreme in that I'm like, oh, all microbes are good for you. But I just think invariably we place too much emphasis on microbes as being the cause of the disease, when really, in many cases, they're just at the scene of the crime. Like, for example, if there was like a fire in a building and then the fire truck showed up, you wouldn't be like, oh my God, those firemen are so bad, they're causing the fire. And so in some cases, like even Louis Pasteur, who invented germ theory and pasteurization, on his deathbed, he was quoted to say, the terrain is everything, the microbe is nothing. So even Louis Pasteur, and he faked a lot of his studies to try to prove contagion, his animal studies, his family released his journals and his lab work essentially in the 2000s. And it's like a lot of it, he actually just fraudulated. So anyway, all that's to say is I didn't think it was necessary to stop teaching. So I kept teaching. And then all these gay guys like freaked out at me and they were like, you're a super spreader and like you need to shut down your class. And so now like hardly any gay guys come to my class because they think I'm this crazy,
You've been
you
gay
know,
blacklisted for being a
I've
germ.
been gay black. Yeah, they made like hate threads about me saying that I was like an AIDS denialist. I'm not an AIDS denialist, but I am a what we call an HIV rethinker because I don't believe that specific virus has ever been purified, isolated, sequenced, or characterized from the fluids of a sick host ever. So I do believe in the symptoms of AIDS, but the cause is far more nuanced and complex than what we've been led to believe, according to the research I've been doing for 10 years. So all that's to say is like hardly any gay guys come to my classes. It's all like American dudes from the Midwest who like go to Aubrey Marcus's gym in Texas and like, have done ayahuasca and they're like, yeah, I have memories of my ancestors cupping each other's. Yeah, this makes me more of a man. And, that's just who they're the ones who are like the RFK Jr. followers. They're the Trumpers who are more open to my beliefs about
Also
germ
thinking
theory
that if
not
you,
being what we were taught.
yeah, like the people who do ice baths, the people who do
Yeah,
alternative styles of I don't know, like what do you call it? Like health
like biohackers.
biohackers. That's what I was. That's the
Yeah,
term
it's
I was
basically
thinking.
all biohackers who do my programs. There's a few exceptions, but usually those exceptions, they're gay guys and they find out that I am an anti-vaxxer, and then they stop coming to my class. Not always, but like 9 times out of 10. I don't mean to be stereotypical. It's just what I've noticed.
Right, right. Is
Yeah.
that do you think that is that just the groups that you kind of roll in, or do you think that the gay community is very big on like at the time we're all getting vaccinated, all thought it was like legit?
Yeah, like 99% of it's almost like because what was it? Trump, when he was elected, he was questioning vaccines and autism like in the 2016, 2017 realm. And so then people who were against Trump were like, well, he's an anti-vaxxer, so I'm going to become super, super pro-vax, pro this, women, you know. So it almost like became this super divide of belief ecosystems where anything that Trump was about, the liberal left, some of them became extremely extreme to the point where they're like, no, I'm going to get all the vaccines. And, you know, they just became, it was like a
Like a religion.
response.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
it was like a religion. Yeah.
yeah, totally, totally. People
Yeah.
used to brag about how many boosters they got. I remember. Uh,
Yeah, and they're like team, like all these gay guys were like posting like the ones, certain ones that not all of them, but a lot were like, I'm team Pfizer, I'm team AstraZeneca, I'm trans vaccinated because I got AstraZeneca and then I got Pfizer. And they were like showing all of their like vaccine cards and their like different colored band-aids on social media. And then they often had like hashtag trust the science is settled. And I'm just like, science is never settled. Science is designed to
well,
be continually questioned.
ironically, especially that science was never settled.
Yeah.
Um,
And people can go on Pfizer's website. It actually now says myocarditis and heart problems are now seen and noted on the Pfizer website in especially in men aged 27 to 36. Like it literally says what us anti-vaxxers have been saying for years. Now it
right,
literally says it on the Pfizer website. So it's no longer a conspiracy.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's just say I'm a man watching this clip, and I want to start trying to better myself, boost my testosterone immediately tomorrow. How long do I retain my and don't what kind of foods should I avoid? You mentioned that, yeah, like a lot of like plant supplements. I would have thought testosterone boosting would have something to do with eating like animals as well. Like
Mhm.
the most jacked people in the world and who have the highest testosterone, even the ones who don't do steroids, seem to be big meat eaters.
Yeah, so basically, I agree with you. And I tried doing the vegan diet, and I was just I couldn't. I was like I was like hungry again all the time. Like
Mm.
I was training for a marathon, teaching so much spin and hot yoga. My body needed animal protein, and there's never been a fully vegan society in recorded history ever. There've been vegetarian ones, so having milk and ghee and eggs and stuff, but never a fully vegan. So it is a bit of an experiment. So I recommend meat if you want to increase your testosterone. Organ meats, raw liver can be really powerful for that. Eggs, fish, try to get like wild caught salmon and stuff like that, healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Kind of just like a healthy, well-rounded diet. If you can get your hands on raw milk, that's amazing. We can't really in Canada, so I get raw cheese because that's legal in Canada still. Yeah, so I definitely recommend animal products to boost your testosterone. You can follow like Paul Saladino, Carnivore MD. He was really extreme. He was just eating meat and then he got all fed up. So I believe in balance.
I'm pretty sure there's like an 8 to 10 week window on eating fully carnivore before it starts to affect your testosterone. But I think it's a
Mhm.
great reset. No one I've met who's done 4 weeks of full carnivore has regretted it and said that their
Mhm.
health went backwards. If
Right,
anything, all their health markers improved. Yes, they were low energy because they were converting from like a high carb diet to a high fat protein diet. Uh,
right.
yeah, I think it's like the extremes are only good for like a moment, but then if you go back
Yeah.
to something with more fruits and some more starches, like great. If I was someone who wanted to experiment with tension, like what do you recommend? Like what's the ideal?
Come to my class. Come, but don't.
Yeah.
Self Pleasure Sundays with me and JP. We just got back from filming all this juicy, sexy stroke mutual stroking content in the Isle of Skye in Scotland. So that was really juicy, and we've been teaching religiously. We call it like our church, every Sunday. So that will teach you. If you just go to willblunderfield.ca, you can see the link to buy tickets. It will literally teach you how to separate orgasm from ejaculation. And then it's not about never. Sometimes we do, but we do it very intentionally and without shame. And so, yeah, it's just about
One more thing kind of,
expanding the time between.
yeah, gotcha. One more thing came to mind. Like you talk about like smelling under the mushroom to
Mhm.
increase testosterone through scent. Is that legit?
Well, I mean, there's no specific studies about the smell. Right?
Okay.
The Matrix probably wouldn't specify, but there are Matrix studies, like double-blinded, randomized, like control studies in medical journals of dudes who work out together, and then there's certain compounds in the sweat that have been shown to increase testosterone. So if you think about it, your get really sweaty. Your mushroom, if you've got a underneath, you pull it back after a workout. It's very rank. So that would be a very prime place to get the sniffing going and really bond and get the testosterone up, I believe.
Yeah. All right. Cool, man. This episode brought to you by My OnlyFans. It's an amateur's paradise. Hundreds of girls and me. Get 50% off your first month at www.onlyfans.com/The Apollo Show X. See you there. Where can everyone
You can do
find?
docking as well. You can take your foreskin and put it over your bro's mushroom head, and then he can put it over yours if you both have foreskins, and then you can rub, and then all your mix inside of your foreskins, and then you can cuddle.
Like some sort of like cauldron of
Yes, and then you could, mix some juice in there with it, and then do one in the stink, one in the pink, or two in the pink, and rub your together while her beautiful juices keep you cool.
Right. Sounds like a great Saturday night to me.
Yeah.
Where can where can people find you on social media?
If you go to not Will Blunderfield on Instagram, I'm on my 11th account. I think I've figured out they don't like shirtless men. Sometimes their algorithm will construe shirtless men as like a violation.
They don't
So I
like
tried.
in general, Will. Like that's what I've noticed. So you'll notice like a
Yeah.
lot of my content used to be me jumping around in underwear, coming out of the pool in my underwear, in my Speedos. I barely do any of that anymore. Now it's
Mm.
mostly shirt on, conversational. Yeah.
How many violations do you have? I've got 8.
None at the moment. And I haven't had
Really?
for quite some time because I'm
Oh,
purposefully avoiding being shirtless, Speedos. I'm avoiding showing skin purely because I was sick of not being seen. My reach
yeah.
kept getting stifled, and I was like, point.
See, mine, I don't know why they're more strict with my account, but I'll repost something from your mom's house or from Troy Casey. Like, for example, Troy was slapping his through his shorts, and
Yeah.
then it's still up on his site, but mine gets taken down and they say sexual genital stimulation. I'm like, he was just slapping his it's still up all over the
Do
f***ing
you get a
Instagram.
violation? Because I saw I swiped immediately, by the way, on this video, no offense, but it was the one where you were on like it was a selfie of you just like having a video of yourself, but while you were did that
Uh,
get a violation?
no, I think that was fine. They don't seem to mind as
I don't
long
mind
as
the
you don't show your
sound as
genitals.
long as you're not showing it.
Yeah, as long as you're not, they seem to be fine with more cum. One time I just like that, and then that was taken down.
There's plenty of girls I know who, after I've given them a facial, they'll take a photo for Instagram, and the photo will get taken down immediately. They do not
It's
like it.
so weird because mine was kind of over the top comedic, and how do they know that it's even? What if it's
But
just mayonnaise?
what
I
I
don't know
will,
how the algorithm tells because a lot of people do funny ones where they'll ejaculate out mayonnaise and it looks
yeah,
quite real
totally,
and it stays
totally.
up. So I don't know. I guess the algorithm has a really powerful way to tell real.
Maybe so, or maybe you've been like red flagged now, so everything that comes up that's like a 50-50 must get eyes on it from an actual person.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do like about your content that's different to other, I don't know, like what would you call it? Alternate health professionals, more like hippie, like I don't know how you would explain it. Like more like these
Hippie biohackers?
hippie biohackers is that you don't take yourself too seriously. Like
Yeah.
I appreciate the comedy that is like,
Thank you.
yeah, the comedy in your pages is great.
Thanks,
Um,
man. I appreciate
yeah,
that.
totally welcome. I think that's a really great way to connect with people. and it gets your message across because we're here talking right now.
It's fun. Yeah, it's really fun, and you can't take yourself too seriously. And sometimes I'll post something and I'll be like that, like I'll get a kick out of it. People always stop me when I'm like running and stuff. They're like, "Can I get a picture?" And then the always the first question is, "Are you real?
Ah,
Is this just a bit, or do you actually believe what you're talking about?" I'm like, "It's real."
I used to
But at the
think it
same
could be
time, I see the
satire.
humor in it.
Yeah, I
Was it?
used to think maybe it could be satire, but the more I was watching your page, the more I'm like, no, it's not. He's just finding a funny way to get his message across, even if it's super alternative. Like
Yeah.
it's great.
Thanks,
Hey,
man.
I'm gonna have to wrap this up. It was an absolute pleasure to talk to
Awesome.
you. I'm glad we could work
Yes.
this out.
Thank you. Appreciate
And
it.
mate, I'll see you on social media.
Sounds good. Oh, and if people want my NSF work, not safe for work, it's twitter.com or no, x.com/W Blunderfield.
Awesome. Enjoy. See you later, mate.
Thank you. See you
Thanks,
soon.
Bye, Jen. Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.